Death to Videodrome. Long live the new flesh. What is up, everybody? Welcome here to Pop Culture Philosophers. Specifically, welcome to a special Sunday night presentation of PCP Movie Night. More specifically, welcome to a special presentation of Horrorfest 2022, the penultimate episode, Station, Pop, Pop, Boo, and all that jazz. We're talking tonight about a David Cronenberg film, and I in no way, shape, or form think that I am a Cronenberg expert. In fact, I have not seen all of his movies. There are big gaps in my Cronenberg knowledge. But to me, my personal favorite Cronenberg film is Videodrome. That's what we're talking about tonight. A rather prophetic film, in my opinion, an important film. And we plan out these shows for PCP Movie Night, for Horrorfest, for March Madness, for Cruise Choice, all this stuff. We do this well in advance. And very early on, I knew that before we did the grand finale of Horrorfest 2022, we were going to do Videodrome by David Cronenberg. And I'm very excited to find out that all my panelists have never seen this movie. So this is a first-time watch for Jelani. What is up, my man?
What's up, Station? Pop, pop, boo. Man. I can't wait to talk about this one because this one is special.
You got Cronenberg again, I see.
Yep, I've been Cronenberg.
Yeah,
like usual. So I'm gonna have like really messed up problems and a hole in my stomach.
Yeah. Also, first time watcher as well, but a longtime member of the PCP Westeros Wonders. It is Steph. What is up, my man?
What up, fellas? Yes,
Right, you've been
first
on
time as well.
This week. A lot of shows.
I have.
The
Yeah.
Dragon, Pumpkinhead. You love Bunce so much.
He's the unsung hero of Pumpkinhead. I'm gonna have to make a video essay on that because without him, Pumpkinhead would have reigned supreme.
You totally should. Also, first time watcher, but long time participator. It's Brooks. What is up, Brooks?
What's up?
It blows my mind that
PCP guys just standing around.
it blows my mind that Brooks and Jelani have never seen this movie, because I remember when I got the Criterion DVD, and then some point last year, I believe, I got the Criterion Blu-ray, which I always love because the disc itself looks like a Betamax tape.
Sick. Yeah.
It's just dope. I mean, I think it's awesome, and sometimes the shit moves, bro. Anyway,
Take some shrooms. I definitely will.
Yeah, I bet. And we'll get to this. So let's talk about it. Videodrome, a 1983 movie written and directed by David Cronenberg, starring James Woods, Debbie Harry, and other people. We'll get into all of that. But man, y'all, I love this movie. I love it so much. I absolutely am mesmerized by this movie. Right? Like, when I hadn't seen it in so long. It had been like probably 10-ish years since I had seen this film. When I sold my DVD to eventually get the Blu-ray, and it took me a while. You know how it goes. But when I finally got it back on Blu-ray, I was really ready to rewatch it. I love The Brood. I love Scanners. I love Dead Zone. But to me, Videodrome was the one that really stood out for me from this era. I also love History of Violence. That's a Cronenberg film. Eastern Promises. Those are some good films. He's done some good stuff. I haven't seen everything. Obviously, The Fly. Can't talk about Cronenberg.
The Fly, yes.
Fly. One of his, it probably is opus, actually. I'm not saying this is the best Cronenberg film, but it might be my favorite because of the subject matter, because of what it's talking about. It's talking about technology, in particular, television programming of this day and age, but you can really pull that out into today and see this movie's rather prophetic about how media will change humanity, right? I think it's great. It's probably my favorite James Woods film. Like, I think that's easy. Debbie Harry does it for me in this movie. We're going to get into that later, but I am transfixed. The music, the atmosphere, the pace. This is a movie that is, first of all, some people say, Videodrome, Robbie, it's not quite a horror film. It's more a psychological science fiction. It's a horror film. This dude's got a vagina that pops up in his fucking abdomen.
Yeah.
Betamax tapes in it and fucking with his mind, man. Like, this is some gnarly shit going on here. Rick
Yeah.
Baker doing amazing effects, man. This is Rick Baker, who had just come off of winning the first Academy Award for special effects 2 years before for his work on American Werewolf in London, right? The effects are amazing because Cronenberg just doesn't make it fucking easy. He wants the television to become flesh, become living and breathing and pulsating, and somehow in some way make love to James Woods. That's happens this movie. I love it. Special effects, the message, the themes, what it's trying to unpack. David Cronenberg still early in his career, but very successful. Shivers, into Rabid, into The Brood, into Scanners, into this. Like, holy cow. And he hadn't even made The Fly yet. I love this film.
Wow, okay.
Delaney, first time watching, what'd you think? Okay,
this movie still bothers me. Like, I only watched it once. I was gonna try to watch it the second time. I was like, nah, son. I just, woo. Cronenberg is one of those fixtures. When I was a kid, when I heard his name, I'd scream and run to the other room because I watched The Fly. I watched the first Fly. Fly bothered me. Something about body horror. Something about just the way I hate that. I just hate when bodies change and morph and do other things that aren't werewolves or cool shit. You know, it's just, it just irks me. It's one of those things that just, like the eyes on the too many eyes on something or something like that.
Like in the Power Rangers monster, the eye monster.
Yeah, the eye monsters. Any
eye guy.
Yeah,
my favorite thing about that episode, not to really, we're pulling us away a little bit here. We're talking about Power Rangers now, randomly. That episode is called Eye Guy.
No shit. Okay.
Man. That would be an eye guy. Yeah, but I didn't like that character either. But that fear people have with like too many holes and they see too many holes at once. Yeah, stuff like that bothers the shit out of me. So like Cronenberg, absolutely not. So like his newest film, I'm like, nah, son. But this, I mean, it freaked me out. This is my first time watching it. It's very meta. It tells a commentary of violence and the media and what the merger of the two is if you're on shrooms. And funny enough, I had my first shroom encounter.
I was going to say, now you have a new experience, man.
So
that's awesome.
I have a new experience, and it's
no, that elevates this movie a little.
It is an elevated movie. So, and it freaks me out that this movie bothered me as much as it did, because like I still think about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, like you see something, and then it actually happens. Not only does it happen, the TV is alive. The guy's got a vagina in his stomach. People are shoving tapes into his stomach. Are they doing that? Is this happening? Is this real life? Why is a gun here? Why is he shooting cancer at a dude? There's just so many just random what the crap. And I've seen movies like this and I've understood them, but Cronenberg is a different animal. The Scanners still messes me up. Just movies that he's made have always been this weird, visceral body horror trip that's borderline like Lovecraftian, just insanity. And it's like I said, for a first time watching, and I know I'm kind of rambling with it, but it's so much to unpack. I don't know what was real. I don't know what was, just his hallucinations. What did it actually work that way? Did he have a gun that actually grew into his hand? I have no idea. And what made all this happen? It's so many questions. So I'm still kind of confused. I need to watch it again, but I don't want to.
I think that's a good compliment, actually, for Horrorfest. Yeah. Like, I want to watch it again, but I don't want to. Like, this movie does go back and forth between the subjective view and the objective view, right? There are plenty of moments in this film where what is happening on the screen is really actually happening in the story. It's like actually going on. There are plenty of moments where what's going on is just in the views of the eyes of Max, if you will, right? Because this whole movie is about the perception of reality, right? And like we all perceive reality. That's an individualistic, subjective point of view, right? Like no one experiences reality like you. But then we have the way we experience reality, our perception changed by something like media, like television, these airwaves coming across the screen, and maybe even Betamax tapes. Maybe this is the real reason why Betamax didn't win. David Cronenberg is like, they're fucking evil. They're sending the Videodrome signal out to everybody. But I'm glad that you got Cronenberg yet again, Jelani. What about you, Steph? This was your first time watching. What did you think overall?
Sorry, guys, I had trouble unmuting my mic. This way, I think Jelani summed it up best. I think that's what Cronenberg kind of goes for, though. He's like one of those artists. He wants his work to make you feel something or think, whether it's nasty or whatever. He wants you to leave an effect, and he does that with his films. I've seen like a handful. I want to say like I've seen like The Fly, this, and The History of Violence. And this and The Fly, he delves deep into like the psyche of like human nature and like obsession and stuff like that, and how far that can take you, and to the dark places it can take you. The horror, the body horror, kind of complements the darkness of it. It's like a physical manifestation, kind of, sort of. But this particular film, I think for an hour and 20 minutes, it's quite a journey, like it almost feels longer. There's, like Jelani said, there's a lot to unpack. And it's different. I dug it. I will probably get this. I think this one warrants a rewatch. I think you'll get more out of it on multiple watches. But I feel you, Jelani. This is not something you can just kind of like
I'm not casually watching this.
throw on.
Yeah.
It is for me, right? Because it does have that tightness. Like you were like, crazy. It is a 90-minute movie, 80 something minutes. But there's so much in there. Like we watch tons of these movies. We're like, thank God this movie was 86 minutes long, because there's not much to it, right? And we just want to get in and get out with what we're expecting. I can't imagine being an audience member, like a theater goer in 1983, and being like, what's this movie, darling? Let's go see this. I can't even imagine.
What's the Videodrome flick?
Yeah, some of these concepts are so much more easily understood today than they were in 1983.
Oh yeah,
right? When people thought it was like that, the idea of television and media, the rise of these network stations and cable, and how you can influence people through programming, basically things like that. But even just as a movie, like what the fuck? It's crazy. Now I rewatched it again this morning. I woke up. I went to bed super early last night. I was excited. I finished up DHS. I watched Freddy vs. Jason, which is a nice, tight, fun movie, right? To wrap up all my movie obligations for Horrorfest. I woke up this morning, refreshed. I was doing laundry, and I was like, fuck it. I'm watching Videodrome again. And I watched it again. I love this movie. And I've watched it since with the commentary. I've watched this movie 3 times this week. It blows my fucking mind. I love it. Brooks, you blow my mind. What do you think about Videodrome? First time watching.
Yeah, actually, my first Cronenberg movie that I've watched all the way through. The only other one I've seen part of The Fly way back when I was younger, and it was on TV, so I wouldn't have gotten the full effect probably anyway. But I like this movie. It was interesting. Like I watched it twice. I watched it last night, and I was like, I start thinking, I'm like, man, I just don't remember what the fuck was going on in that movie. Like I watched it like I finished probably 10 minutes before we started. Like I'd finished watching it again, and I liked it a lot better. On the same time, I understood what was going on more. I think the second time watching it, and it's definitely an interesting movie. It feels kind of like,
that's the best word.
It feels like a Clockwork Orange in a way, where it feels like just a really good Twilight Zone episode, like just this high concept sci-fi idea that's meant to just scare you on like a psychological level.
Oh yeah.
And it works, I think, you know.
Yeah. Psychological, cerebral, and visceral, man. His movies,
Mhm.
that's the word that always comes back when you talk about Cronenberg movies is cerebral and visceral. Like he's able to do both. He can make these movies like that, like A24 makes that everybody fucking loves, but he can also make it like fucking visceral. And that's why when all these new elites in horror, like the Ari Asters or the Ty Wests, as much as I love their work, and it's great what I've been seeing, right? They've been doing some really solid stuff. Even Robert Eggers, right? Doing some, like, I've seen
Oh, yeah.
The Witch, that was really cool. They all go back to The Shining, and I'm like, where's Cronenberg in this conversation? He is a master of horror, and he has transcended that genre. But every movie he's ever made is fucked up, man. Like
He's got some dark shit going on. Yeah.
Because he's an artist, dude.
Yeah.
Non-fucked up movie and one of Canada's best directors, right? And once again, we're talking about Canadian horror, so there you go. You know, let's get into it. All right, good. I'm excited about this panel now. I really was. So, a great movie has a great cast. This movie has a great cast. Everybody, get ready to start talking about your favorite characters and performances. I'm going to kick us off. I don't want anybody to steal mine. I know I've been pulling this button a lot lately. Debbie Harry as Nikki in this movie.
Called it.
Y'all,
Yeah.
I got a thing for Nikki in this movie. There is something so sultry, so sensual about her performance. It's an awkward performance.
It is very awkward.
It's an awkward performance. And we know that she can perform in movies. We've seen it. She can perform on stage. Obviously, she's the front woman of Blondie, right? Where I've watched a lot of Blondie live videos and shit this week, man. And I'm telling you, I got a new crush, man. Like, I am all about some Debbie Harry right now. She gets me going. There's something about this movie that is sensual, and her performance is a big part of that. This movie to me is sexy, sensual, and awkward, and scary. And Debbie Harry's character of Nikki, the whole mystery, she just disappears, becomes this other entity throughout the course of the fucking movie. It's a tragedy with her. Like you get what I'm, but you're seeing this is a dude who only finds connection through having, like we're talking about Max's character. He's a dude who only finds stimulation through excessive, like pushing that boundary of what he's watching. Like this video of Samurai Dreams where this woman's like, you know, got this very, I guess that's a disguise for her, like dildo. I don't know. But like, you know, that's too soft. He needs something more tough, right? Well, goddamn, be careful what you wish for, right? And then he meets this woman who is someone who is so sensitive to people and the way they feel. She can literally calm people away from suicide in this movie. Notice that parallel, because at the end, it's not really her, or is it really her? Like at the end of the film is telling him to commit suicide. Like it's an interesting parallel there, and I love her. Her essence is throughout this movie. She just disappears, but then she's a very active figure in this movie. It's a tragic figure. This dude and this chick who have to overstimulate to keep reaching that next level of experience, because the more connected we are, the less connected we actually are. We're living in a more disconnected age because everybody's doing it behind a screen. And that's what this movie's kind of leaning to, right? But they can make a connection. And how tragic is it that so soon she just disappears? And that his obsession, remember, it's the, what do they say? They say something like it's the tone of the video that manipulates the tone of the hallucination, which to me is the manipulation. That being said, Debbie Harry, ooh, and I'm glad we get to watch this in the unedited, uncensored version nowadays, man.
With boobies.
She can get it, man. She can get it. She can get it. Goddamn, she can get it. Jelani, I'm completely lost now. We're talking about what else you got? Characters, performances. Go ahead.
Alrighty then.
Ooh, I'm sprung, man. Shit.
Yeah, Debbie Harry's not bad. She could get it, but yeah, them kinks though. We're sex positive here, but them kinks though. I ain't burning no cigarettes on your chest.
Tell you what, but how many times have you been in a situation like James Wood? You're like, no way, and then you're like,
If they're cool with it. Yeah.
Choking. I'll choke a little bit. Light stuff.
Hey,
we'll
you
paddling.
don't have to get too personal.
Let you know what the kids are, man.
Hey, Delaney, come on, let's talk
Pink
about
movie,
What's your safe word?
Pink movie. But what I'm saying is, well, okay, my favorite character so far is the guy on the TV. It's Dr. Oblivion. Dr.
Professor
Brian
Oblivion,
Oblivion.
right?
Yeah, that guy.
That's not his original name, by the way.
No, not at all. It's just the fact
He's
that
Max
he's
Headroom's
like,
uncle, man.
Yeah.
Is he supposed to be Irish? Is he supposed to be like Oblivion?
Yeah, it's Oblivion. Like Oblivion. Like, nah, but it's not his real name. But
I mean, is it supposed to be like period Oblivion? Or
it's like an
like
dash.
an Irishman's name, like
That's
Oblivion?
That's just the first appearance of the screen name.
Yeah.
Because remember, there's that moment where he even says, "We'll all have new names soon."
Yeah.
Well, we do. We do.
Sure.
The power of the name. Now we get to create our names as these personalities, these entities on the internet.
He's talking about the mind's eye of the television and the mind's eye and what it entails, and the fact that he figured it out kind of first, and on top of all of that, the man has videotapes, rows and rows of videotapes that he has planned. It reminds me, there's this Patton Oswalt show that was on, like, I forgot now. It's the weirdest damn thing I've ever seen next to this. I think it's She Holler, the Hoot She Holler or something like that. It was on Cartoon Network for a while. It's this weird little 30-minute show which similarly has this. Patton Oswalt is this crazy mayor or something. I don't know if people know this in the chat, but like there's a character in the show that's the mayor of the town that he works in. It's the Heart She Holler. It's called the Heart She Holler. And but the mayor of the town is basically I think he dies or something, but he has videotapes and he's prepared every statement for what he's going to do. So they're like, yeah, do tape A, and he just pops the tape in, and then like it's perfectly aligned, like he's talking to you like right there. He even pauses. That's what I like about this.
So
this
weird
character.
because in that first bit, right, when they're doing the news conference, when you know what's going on, it's so weird because he's not referencing anything that they're talking about.
Right.
But he's like looking right at her and then looking right
over.
It's so
he knows. It's like he knows. Is he really there, or in the video, and he's actually trying to respond to it, or it's just a tape and it's just this guy.
Videodrome gave him like some kind of maybe
sensory perception or something.
ESP where he could see into the future, maybe. So
that's what he said. It was creating a tumor. Wasn't necessarily a tumor. It was a new organ that was being manifested, right?
So, I mean, I found him so intriguing just because of that, and that Heart She Holler character just freaked me out. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's the guy. That's the guy.
He's based on like a real personality. I cannot remember it right who the guy is, but he was like this voice almost against censorship and almost about the power of the TV. He leads this like cult in this movie, right? Like it's very important to understand what he's trying to do, what his organization's doing, what the Cathode Ray like program or whatever. It's like this religious cult or whatever, where they're like trying to change people through television and shit like that. It's so weird. It's so interesting, and he has some memorable lines throughout the movie that are very important to the movie. The best of which being television is more than reality, and reality is less than television. Take television, just turn it to media, turn it to the internet, turn it to social media, turn it into where we are today with these motherfuckers. What the fuck? This movie's brilliant. Steph, what's a character / performance you want to highlight? That's a good one, Jelani, by the way.
Well, of course, James will be easy. I just, it's cool to see. He's always got this like calm.
Mark's got it right there. That guy, McClellan said the medium is the message.
Medium is the message. Yep. I like his side. I don't know what you would call it. His partner at first, but he's actually like spying on him.
The first guy with the glasses.
Harlan?
Harlan. I liked Harlan. He was pretty. He always Patron. Yeah, he's always calling Patron. Yes, Patron. And so when he played like the buddy so well. So when they revealed he was actually like spying on him the whole time, if you will, I was like, you son of a bitch. But he played the role really well. I just like the whole Patron. That was pretty cool to me.
That whole
But
turn
James Wood.
That turn works so well too because he then gets very like zealot, like filled with zealotry in that moment where he starts talking about like the we gotta take control back. Everybody's too soft. The rest of the world's too tough, and all that shit. And just the idea of this dude who's like the pirate of the high waves in 1983, picking up all these crazy fucking. Like I went on a deep dive not too long ago about people that still do this. There are very few analog signals that still come through, and there are people that are like so like cut the cord. They like they got like these super antennas on their house to pick up like 200 channels from across the fucking country and shit. And people are still making some of these signals, and it's weird. It's a weird like this like piracy's way different now. Anybody
the original dark web
can go on there and fucking just start pirating you right now. You just go to people pirate it for you and put it on their Plex servers. This dude's got like a hidden antenna. And I love the idea that it's something that Max is doing to find this subversive and transgressive content for what station channel 83 or whatever the fuck it is station.
It's in Pittsburgh.
Anyway, continue, Steph. I'm sorry.
Oh no,
I love this movie so much, man.
No, it's definitely a movie for me. Like I can't just throw it on, but I definitely am gonna rewatch it sometime soon because there's something that, like Brooks said, he understood. There's more to get upon multiple rewatches. But James Woods, I mean, that's an easy one, but he's so cool, man. Calm, suave, and he's just in his prime in here. I notice even in Pumpkinhead, we got two of those guys like in their prime with their shirts off. Just you can tell they've been doing their deadlifts, so they were in the prime. It was cool to see. But
in the commentary, when James Wood was having to do the whole slit, vagina thing in his abdomen, he like got almost kind of so tired of just being in this prosthetic, and at this point he looked at somebody who was like one of the production people, and he looked at her and was like, "I'm just the slit now. I'm not even that slit." He goes, "Now you know how it feels."
Wow.
But Cronenberg said that on the commentary. But his performance is so solid, and you were talking about the shirt off shit. Like, I don't even remember where I was trying to go with that. Brooks, what do you got, man? I remember it.
I can't remember her name, but I like the character. She was the his friend, kind of like she did this. She was like kind of the high society artsy lady that was like pushing Apollo and Dionysus.
Masha.
Yeah, she. It seems like she's kind of like the old guard sort of entertainment. She still wants to make movies that are like supposed to be artsy and not just about that primal simulation that that Max is looking for. But yeah, I thought she was an interesting character in the way she seems very much to like lament the loss of like higher forms of entertainment, and like she feels like like you can still have like that stuff, but why can't you also have something better? Like why can't both exist? But that's interesting, and it's like she pops up later in the movie just as part of this hallucination, like especially female characters. Later on in the movie, like a female character will just take on the face of every female character that he knows, and she's one of them. And like there's even one scene where like he wakes up and like he sees her like dead in the bed with him, which is like I think that was like the last scene she was in. But yeah, I thought she was a pretty interesting character. I especially liked her when he's like, "I'll take a shower with you," and she's like, "I'm sure you're quite good, but like you're too old for my taste."
And she makes eyes at the waiter like, "What's up, motherfucker?"
Yeah. How you doing?
That waiter's getting fucked.
She's like, "You want to make a
She
quick
got her groove back.
What's going on, man? I'll give you a good tip." Now she's a great performance in there too, and you're on there because this movie, when they were writing it, Cronenberg didn't really necessarily. He knew where it was going, but he would change as he goes on. Like in the commentary, Cronenberg says he never does storyboards. He says To him, that's so against the idea of movie making. I got to be there in the set with the characters, the performers in costume. It has to
kinda
be a
feel it.
tactile experience, and
Yeah.
then we can figure it out. So he said, as
That's
far as
interesting.
budget goes, he only ever needs more budget for more time. Because he's like, the more time I have with the movie, the better, right? Because he's always rethinking it. Even to the point where the very final scene in the tugboat that they're in, where James Woods' character Max kills himself, or
He
elevates
transcends to the
himself,
new flesh.
transcends to a higher plane of being, right? Like enters the Matrix, right? If you will, like way before the Matrix. Even that was decided at the end of the day of the last day of shooting. Like it was like that kind of a production. The one thing I was going to mention about James Woods' performance is his reaction to when that slit first opens up. He looks down at it. He's like, and he knows he's hallucinating, and then he looks back down. It's still there, and he's like looks back up again, and then when he loses the gun, and his whole like fear of, oh my god, is this gun inside of me? Like there's that whole bit where he's like looking under the fucking cushions and shit. He's got to grab his fucking whiskey or whatever to fucking drink it because that's just too much. Just too much. Style and structure for a film that was constantly being rewritten all the way up to the last shot. Holy cow, it doesn't feel like it. Doesn't feel like it. Feels very intentional, very meticulous, very methodical throughout. I love the pace of this film. It is packed with ideas. It is packed with subtext, and it's all done in less than an hour and a half. What? Like they can't do that in movies anymore, man. It's ridiculous how well crafted this movie is for being so done kind of sporadically and of the moment. But maybe that's part of the genius of Cronenberg. I love the story. I love the atmosphere of this movie, the way it's shot. The director of photography is absolutely perfection. It's the same guy that had been working with him on all of these other movies, and he has such a great contrast with his scenes. Some are brightly lit, some not so brightly lit, some are very starkly lit, some are a little softly lit. There's a good balance there that, just like a good score in a movie, kind of bounces you back and forth through these peaks and valleys. That's prevalent there. I think it's a tightly scripted, structured, edited, and shot film. I fucking love it. What do you think about the style and structure, Jelani?
I mean, I kind of agree. It's very short. It's merciful, and it's driving me nuts. I think the special effects are fantastic. I mean, as far as body horror is concerned, this is top tier stuff as far as just tripping me the fuck out. I never thought that the visuals would be on this level. The pacing, like I said, is done really well, but once again, it goes back to flashes because Max is an unreliable narrator. Not really a fan of an unreliable narrator, but at the same time, like in the Joker movie, Joker's a very unreliable narrator. You don't know what he's doing in that movie. So it's kind of the same kind of concept as far as he's experiencing all these things, but you don't know what's real and what's the hallucination. And it's done really well. It's just, like I said, I can't handle it. I just don't know what to do about that. I don't want to watch it again and find out and be like, hey, there's these pieces that needed to go here and this needs to go here. But there's something in his stomach, and is it there? And is it not there? You know, it blows my freaking mind that I'm just like still bothered by this. And I watched it like Wednesday or something like that. And I was just like the whole day. And I had something weird happen to me that day on top of it. And I'm just like, oh God, it's just all this stuff together is just too much. I can't deal. So it's fine. It's a good mix of a movie. It's mercifully short. And Debbie Harry, as far as getting it, can still get it because she's put in the movie very well, but she is, like I said before, the character that is the lady in red, like in the Matrix. She's on the outside of it. And I like how he is also in the movie the way it's shot when he's like using the whip and hitting the old lady, the older lady. What was her name again? I'm sorry.
Masha,
Yeah,
something like that?
Masha. When he's whipping her and like is she there? Like did he go to Pittsburgh? You
Did
know
she
what I'm
die?
saying? Is it a clay wall? He's at the actual clay wall. Did she die for real? You know, and I like how, like I said, it's told in such an unreliable, unreliable narrator kind of situation. So it's uneven and it's crazy and it bothers me. I'm good. I'm out.
I like that. I like that it bothers you, Jelani, because it
It
should.
still does.
This is a movie that should bother you because of like it bothers me more.
It can happen now.
It bothers me more when I think that this movie was made in '83.
Yeah.
When I'm 2 years old, like we don't even know what the effect of media is going to be. We're not even into Motu and Thundercats and shit yet. We're not even into people praying over me over listening to Led Zeppelin and Kiss when I was a kid, right? We're not even into that zone yet. So, wow, like there's some, you know, and it just lets you know that the moral right's always there. The moral right's always there because that's a big part of the theme. Just giving you guys some breadcrumbs so you can pick up on some of these.
What is it? What was the theme?
Well, I'm just saying moral right's kind of a big part of this movie, right? Okay. People that think that that every like
the upper crust
there are quote unquote deplorables, if you will, whatever you want to say, but on all sides, people that are so righteous in the way they feel, right? That they feel they should be able and have the authority to control us through media, right?
My Bloody Valentine, by the way, how My Bloody Valentine in Canada was censored. Like I was hearing in Canada what they do is that they would at that time, because there was just this fear of just movies influencing violent movies influencing violence, that they were like, we'll take these movies, we're gonna cut out these pieces. If we don't like these, if we don't like it, we'll take these parts out. If you put them back in the movie, we'll put you in jail.
Mm-hmm.
And it was true censorship. It was what it was supposed to be, and that was that time, '83, right around then. And then
when it was
like
starting
all the other movies,
and it came over to America, right? We were talking about that last night with Pumpkinhead. That's a movie heavily censored by the MPAA, right? And like even this film was censored.
Yeah.
We now get to see it in its uncensored. Like that whole bit, Cronenberg says in the commentary, he's like that whole bit where Debbie Harry and James Woods are making love in their way, right, on the floor in front of the TV, and all of a sudden they go into the Videodrome set, right? Like that's a powerful moment in that movie to me. I think that's his first hallucination, right? But they cut that down. They're like, that's too much because too sexy. Why? Because you see a man ass and a little bit of titties. You don't even this isn't like a exploitative film to me, right? You know,
they're not slasher titties.
Yeah, it's not slasher.
Classy.
As much as we love them, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely adore slasher titties.
This movie's got a lot of phallic representation in it too, right? And so like there's a lot of this kind of stuff going in there. And this is Cronenberg of this era, right? This is what he does. This is something that's important to him as a human, I believe, not just as a filmmaker, but as a human. So it was censored down, but now we get to see this more uncensored cut. What about you, Steph? Style and structure. What do you speak on?
I think it was brilliant for the fact that it's an hour and 20 minutes and it just leaves, Jelani's case in point, you saw it Wednesday and it's still bothering you. Like, it's not even a long movie and it's still got you thinking about it to an extent, like 5 days later. So
I don't want to feel like this.
The structure, was on point.
It gave me fucking nightmares, man. I've seen this movie plenty of times. It gave me fucking nightmares, man. I relished it too, man.
I watched it today, so I haven't been to sleep yet. So I'll tell you guys what happens. The style, I think that's just up there with the structure. Like I think it kind of goes hand in hand. The whole illusionary effect of what's really going on and shit like that. It's ties in with it's supposed to be like a rabbit hole. I feel like it's just, you don't really, a rabbit hole. It's like in a house of mirrors almost. You don't really know what the fuck's going on. Just chaos to an extent.
Some interesting
But-
little points right here, real quick, to help elucidate what you were saying is the ambiguity of the film. Initially, him with his gun, and like Jelani said earlier, he's shooting cancer at people, right?
Mhm.
And so initially, it was written in the script that they were going to be these globs of like fleshy, gnarly shit that would latch onto people and then like grow and blow up and all this shit, right? But
Kind of
even though
does.
Rick Baker and his people worked all hard on all these different effects, at the end of the day, he was like, we're only going to have one be subjective. The rest will be reality. Like you notice, like when he goes into the boardroom and shoots his partners, it's
They're
a real
dead.
gun, real bullet wounds.
I love the elbow shot. That was a nice little detail.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought
I
Oh,
love that too, right?
yeah.
But then when he goes and shoots Convex or whatever, the eyeglass guy, the big villain, right? He shoots him with the cancer bullet, and that's what's happening there. He's
Yeah.
like
Calling
cancer,
it crying
yeah,
out of him.
cancer coming out, and
Yeah,
jeez.
still freaks me out. Yeah, think about that in my sleep. Thanks,
So it's
Rick
actually-
Baker. Thanks,
Growing
Rick
It's actually
inside.
more subtle and more
Yeah.
ambiguous than the way he initially intended it, which I love, man.
Baker.
But no, I think
Ring.
there's something to say that, like I said, he's like Brooke said it, he's a true artist. He just wants you to, his art to make you feel something, regardless if it's good or bad, as long as it's getting you to feel and think. And I'm pretty amazed for the effect, the lingering effect for an hour and 20 minutes. There's so many forgettable movies in an hour and 20 minutes. This, like we said earlier, does a lot in that a lot of time. So
Hell yeah.
I think both were on point.
Hell yeah. Nicely put. What about you, Brooks? What do you think about the style and structure of this film?
I think it's quite good, actually. It does. I think the pace is really good, and it's kind of like the Serpent and the Rainbow in that it's this guy's descending into madness and like not understand, not as the further along the movie gets, the less able he is to tell reality from his hallucinations.
Facts.
Like he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what part of his life is real, and then in the end, like he just becomes like this puppet until he manages to fucking fight his programming, and we get a more happier ending, I think. But this movie it's very well paced. It never felt like it was like dragging or anything. Everything I was always interested to see what was what was around the next corner, and quite good.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I've seen some people mention that the movie's a bit of a slow burn. And I'm like, what? It's like 45 minutes in, he's got a vagina in his stomach. I'm like, come on. Like, that's not a slow. I don't know. I'm entranced by this movie, by the way it's presented, the way it's put together. It works for me. And what's funny is that one of the songs, if you will, one of the pieces on the score is called Slow Burn. So that leads me into a great segue into the music. So the music is done by Howard Shore, a little-known filmmaker who won an Academy Award for doing the music in a little-known film series called The Lord of the Rings.
Oh wow!
Some of us may be familiar with that. Howard Shore
I've heard of him.
Yeah, you've heard of him. He's a long-time collaborator with David Cronenberg. He did Scanners. He did Videodrome. He also did Martin Scorsese's After Hours. He's done some good movies. He did David Cronenberg's Dead Ringers, and things like that. So he's done a lot of work. Naked Lunch with Cronenberg. He was the composer of Silence of the Lambs, Ed Wood, Philadelphia, Cronenberg's Crash, and still doing it. He was the composer of High Fidelity, y'all. You remember that?
No
film?
shit.
Composer
John
of The
Cusack?
Cell. I
John
didn't even know
Cusack.
that. The Cell.
No.
Oh my goodness.
Jennifer Lopez, underrated classic.
Yes. In fact, that was the first movie we covered in March Madness last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love that movie. Howard Shore's music is great, and we know his like Lord of the Rings stuff. It's very orchestral. He's got money and all that shit. On this one, it's like him and a synthesizer. Like it's a very synthesizer-driven script that has this haunting coldness to it. The coldness of video, the coldness of technology. And I love technology, and I love technology when it comes to entertainment in particular, right? And I get a big kick out of watching 80s films with people with high technology at that time. Those big ass speakers, the fucking Betamax cassette players, the VCRs, all that shit. Like, I'm obsessed with this, like, almost analog form of, like, that transition from analog into digital, right? This era, like this 80s era, which also does feel cold, right? It feels like there's a coldness to it, but actually I feel like it's actually our connection to our media has gotten more cold as we go on, because now people watch movies on fucking phones and iPads and shit, right? And like, it's so I love that the music to me is reflecting this. It's got a haunting, melancholy quality, but it feels so cold and distant, but provocative and mesmerizing at the same time. What did you think about the music, Jelani? And it's subdued, but it is it is affectionate.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I get it, because, you know, we have to listen to music for these things. And I was too freaked out to care. There's like, I mean, it's very synthy. It does have that like lived in sound that's in it. As you said, it is cold when it's there, and it's not there all the time. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's not a character in the movie, though. To me, I think it's there for the atmosphere, but it's not really something that I was just like, wow, this is it.
All right, you know, I'm just gonna throw one more. I want to throw one thing at you real quick.
Okay.
When you listen to the isolated soundtrack, and it's all credited to Howard Shore, the actual like whole sound design and tones that we're getting during the Videodrome videos, those are also on there. So like the slaps, the whips, and all that shit, and he's actually using the sound of dissonance and like static in parts of the score. Like, he's doing that, like it's got a rhythmic quality to it. It's haunting, bro. Like, I know, man. This movie's disturbing as shit, but man, you should go to sleep tonight.
On a subconscious level.
You should go to sleep listening to that.
I haven't slept in like 4 days, man. I've had the most trouble sleeping because I was like, oh god, is there something in my stomach? It's been that.
This makes you more scared to leave the TV on than Poltergeist did.
Yes. And I didn't think that would be the case. But this is the other problem. Being eaten by the television is one thing. You know, sexing a television is another thing. He was sexing a television while it was eating him.
Come to
man.
Come to Nikki.
Bro. I had to rewind. I was like, what am I seeing right now? Yeah.
Did you do that?
Do you know how they had to do that, by the way? Because the way they do bladder effects, wherever you see some like latex and plastic and shit like blowing up, there's somebody like usually blowing through a fucking tube. But in this one, there was like so many things that had to happen with the veins and the monitor and everything else going on. You saw that TV. It's fucking crazy. So this dude hooked it up to an old school like analog synthesizer, which uses like air compression, right? Right. And so he had a synthesizer, and he was able to like basically play it like a fucking song and like cause all this fucking craziness to happen, man.
Ingenious.
Rick Baker's like EF company, man. Holy shit, man.
Go Rick Baker. It's your birthday. But you know, that's not music, but it's music.
It's music enough, I guess. He's playing on the synthesizer.
Yeah.
At one point, I think they said he at some point he played the toccata and fugue to like get a part of the effect
in there.
Like they played it up. Like, I don't know. It just looks really cool, man. But you're right about that music. Cold, distant, unnerving, and a part of the movie and not a part of the movie.
Yeah.
Interesting. What about you, Steph? What do you think?
I agree with both what you and Jelani said, but I do disagree with the fact I do think it's a part of the character of the movie. When he's walking, the James Wood is towards the end, walking to like the boatyard or wherever the TV is, that final place. He's like coming through a gate, and like this music kicks on, and you know it like Robbie was saying, it was haunting, airy, and cold, like, you know, sterile. And I was like, imagine, like, you know, that added like a little layer of fear or, you know, mysteriousness as to what was going to happen next. You know, take away that music for that scene, it's just the dude walking, you know. So that's, I do, you know, I think the reason why you don't think it was a character is because it was subdued. but
It was there, but I didn't notice it as much. That's it.
You need to watch it again, Delaney. I'm telling you.
I'm good. I'm good, son. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I won't be going to sleep playing it.
Yeah,
I don't.
I'll try to watch it again
nightmares.
in a few years and see how we go.
You might make a mistake with that one, man. Because like when I that night I did have those nightmares. I was watching the movie with the commentary on, and I always, I'll do this sometimes, and I'll put my TV on a timer. I remember putting my TV on like 2 hours of a timer, which is longer than the movie, which meant that I was asleep within like 15 minutes. So I'm listening to the whole movie. And then if you watch I got this Criterion, shit, right? It's just that menu's going on, right? And Mark's right. There are some subliminal messaging type things that are put into this movie intentionally, right? Like,
oh, good.
And it works. And the menu screen really elevates that, bro. So I think falling asleep to the menu of this, and you never want to do that. I used to have a, the psycho music as my ringtone on my phone. One time I set it as my alarm in the morning. One day morning, I was like, nope, never again, bro, because it starts in your fucking dream, your subconscious. You're hearing that. You're like, you wake up, you're in a panic. You're like,
very alarmed. Yeah. Why am I stressed out?
Oh, shit. What about you, Brooks? What do you think about the music? And this is the Howard Shore that did your beloved Lord of the Rings trilogy, and a little bit different of an approach.
Yeah, he goes a little bit of a different route for this one, I think, but it's good. A lot of bass synth, very, very, very moody. Especially a lot of pipe organ, like synth pipe organ, which can sound like really good for like those kind of like for especially in a movie like this, which is like about kind of like making you feel uneasy. It just fills you with that sense of dread. That it's like, and it's kind of a mind of like old school like TVs. When you get the static, you just get that that kind of like just straight up sound like that. And I think the soundtrack in this movie, like it is there at the right moments, but it does. I did hear it. I was like, I heard it, and it was like I was like, man, this got some like really good music going here, man.
The synth and the organ mesh was really cool. That was a good
fucking pipe organ, like the opera gonna show up next or some shit.
Yeah, right. Man. And then they add in the static and shit. Like y'all, I there's some YouTube videos you can just look up of people like playing the vinyl from like back in the day. It'll blow your fucking mind. It's a really cool, creepy piece to put on, man. It's really cool. Maybe not when you're going to sleep.
Yeah.
Maybe when you just at the office, chilling, doing some work or something, just put it on and be like, holy shit, man. And it'll take you back into it, man. It's even if you didn't notice it during the movie, when you listen to it afterwards, I think it will take you right back to that experience, to that tone. This movie's unsettling. This movie's also saying a lot. I'm so excited for this. Probably the most excited bit I've been for Horrorfest is this moment right here. Jelani, what is Videodrome saying to you? What's it about?
It's pleasure and pain, and we need to show you such sights. It gives me Hellraiser vibes. It's sensation, and what sensation can do if you're given too much of it. If you're given, it's like an oversaturation of sensation. It feels like a movie that, well, first of all, this guy sees a video and he's like, oh, these people are getting like tortured and raped and beaten and all this stuff. And I need to have this in my life. And I need to figure out how to access this so I can get this to the masses. He's got this, this simple cable access show that he just, station that he just wants to put, whatever.
The edgiest, what's next?
Edgy, whatever it is out there so he can get it out. And I'm pretty sure to make money and be famous. He wants this sensation to happen. And then when he sees it, he wants more of it. And I kind of feel how he is or I kind of sometimes I'm in Max's position, so I can understand it, that once I see something, or if I like it or it intrigues me, I want to go further.
You want all of it. Yeah.
I want all of it. I want to see it. But I ain't going the Hellraiser route, and I ain't getting no split in my stomach. You ain't doing none of that to me. You find
Watch
me,
this video.
Look, if Harlan was there and he showed me that stuff, and we're like, we've been trying to set you up all this time, I'd have shot him right then. I'd be like, no.
I tell you what, man. Maybe that's what's happening with Horrorfest. Robbie's like, hey, Jelani, watch these movies.
You're getting shot.
Yeah.
Made you tapes, Max. They were tapes. They were never broadcasts. It's not from
They're
Malaysia.
still inside you.
Yeah. I just been playing it. Inside me all this
One of my
time.
favorite bits is
I don't watch it.
when Harlan's trying to reprogram Max again, right? And there's reprogramming going on, but when he reaches in and pulls out and his hand becomes, I don't know if y'all picked that up, but that's a grenade.
Grenade.
Right?
Ah.
David Cronenberg, even in the commentary, said it's a bad pun. It's a hand grenade, right? But it's one of those grenades they used to call the egg.
I knew
beaters or
what
whatever,
it was immediately.
right?
Yeah.
And he goes,
He
this for sure is subjective to what James Woods, what Max is seeing. I'm curious to know what's really happening. He doesn't even know.
Cronenberg said that?
Yeah, he doesn't even know what's
God damn
really
it.
happening because that's the hallucination. But something's happening. You know,
Right.
Somebody got blown up.
Like She-Hulk,
Harlan's dead.
last episode.
yeah.
Yeah,
like
it's
this.
trash. Yeah.
Damn, did Cronenberg come in and do that shit? Holy cow.
Yeah. He came
What about
in,
you,
he was like,
Steph?
I am Kevin.
What's this movie speaking to you, brother?
Kind of riff off what Jelani said, like, mankind's obsessive nature with stimulation. Like, we're like with the only animal on earth that we do almost everything out of pleasure, necessity for pleasure, and to be stimulated. Most animals do shit out of necessity for survival. We're past that. Everything is really based on what's gonna make us feel good, put us in a better mood or something like that. But like you said, the overstimulation can be a problem sometimes, and people will go down some dark paths, if you will, to get that stimulation, and that stimulation cannot be worth it. So I think that's a message with that. There's many messages in this movie, but I'm gonna go with that one.
Hell yeah, that's a good one to pull out. What about you, Brooks? What's it speaking to you?
I think it's mostly about like the fear of being controlled. Like as humans, like we're constantly like fearful, like especially when new technology is coming out, and like we've been like raised to have this kind of distrustful nature about the intentions, especially of people who are like a higher social strata than us. Like especially when television was out, like people were afraid, like, are the fucking like weights from the TV going to give you like radiation and cancer or something? Like, they putting subliminal messages in commercials and shit.
Which they do sometimes, but
yeah, I think like I don't think that that kind of stuff like works as effectively. I don't think it could work at like in this movie. Like I don't think you could actually control somebody by showing them like fucking images from a videotape or whatever. Because if they could, like we'd all be fucking robot slaves by now. Like fucking, you have wealthy handlers with like little fucking RC controllers, like basically, like, okay, time to go to work now.
Have you looked around lately?
Like the fear of it is very real, I think, and it's in a way it can be legitimate because, like, I think you got to keep an open mind and like so you don't get caught off guard when like some real crazy shit happens. But most of it, I think, is kind of like just ridiculous. Us just like overreacting, to like an idea that we have. That's what a lot of horror is, though. But it's just like an idea we have, like of something normal, but we turn it into something like frightening.
I like your optimism. However, most Americans are woken up, driven, filled with dopamine shots, and guided their entire lives by this thing right here. So is it silly to be fearful of the control of it? Because to me, this movie is about the effect of technology on biological evolution and the body. And it's about the molding of it. There is a reason why David Cronenberg did not want to make a distinct line between Max's hallucinatory experiences and the real world. Because as he says in his commentary, when you are hallucinating, that is reality. That is what you are seeing. And even if you're not under the influence of substances, chemical substances, you actually are, because that's what perception is. And what is reality but our perception? And as soon as we start fucking around with perception, and people started spending so many hours in front of the TV, people did start understanding that they could kind of program people, right? The mind, the brain is a computer. The brain doesn't make any distinction between reality and false reality. It doesn't. If it's provoked in some way or another, whether it's through dream, whether it's through reality, if that's what you want to call it, objective reality, or whether it's through stimulus through the media, it's the same goddamn thing. The brain doesn't know the difference, right? Like between reality and fiction. And so your reality is a fiction. It's your own fiction. It's your own reality that's created. And at the rise of television in particular, they started realizing the effects that they could have on people. And for a movie in 1983 to understand that, and there's no way Cronenberg was blown away in his commentary, which I think he did in the early 2000s when it was just, we were still at DVD and the rise of Fox News and CNN, right? As a force, right? In the early aughts or whatnot. But like what has happened here is crazy. We are controlled by these devices. We're controlled by our media. And Brooks says, let's keep an open mind to technological evolution. I agree. But I think we also need to keep a closed mind at what people are putting in here. There's a recent comic book tackling this theme, Mindset by Zach Kaplan, one of my favorite books of 2022. That book is on point with what it's talking about. Social media influence, television influence, video influence, whatever you want to call it, it's real. We are programmed from a very early age by all of those around us, our families, our situations, our environments. And then now let's look at the added, we grew up with MTV. We grew up with that shit, right? Now, Steph, I don't know exactly your age, but me and Jelani and Brooks are all around the same age. In our like, are you late 30s to early 40s? Are you around there?
Mid 30s, then 34. Okay. I was born in 88. Yeah.
Okay, so we remember when the internet was new, right?
Right.
So imagine being a 2-year-old. Imagine your first 5 years of existence being in some form or a way connected to the internet.
Right.
There's a moment where Oblivion says we're all going to have new identities, digital identities, here on video. Right? You just change the word video to digital. This is Videodrome, right? That we're talking about. It's the same goddamn thing, right? This is the evolution of it. And
it can do it now, and it will work.
It's tied into human evolution. Now they're showing it in a hallucinatory state where we're getting this like H.R. Geiger thing where we're seeing the gun go into him, right?
That's
and all
a good
that
call
shit.
out,
That's a gnarly fucking Rick Baker effect, right? But even that represents something real. This is a part of us now. This is a part of human evolution. This is a part of us now. We are in a way cyborgs, if you will. Like we are connected to our technology. Now, granted, Brooks, I'll be honest with y'all, Brooks is not like us. Like Brooks is not controlled by this. The rest of us are. You know what I'm saying? Like it's something coming on. But here's what I do find positive about this, and I'm rambling now, and I get it, I understand. But what I do find positive about this is if they can program us and reprogram us, and remember, a big part of this movie gets a little political, right? Where it's about the moral right against those nasty liberals who love all this excessive, uncensored shit, right? I love to push that boundary, like Steph and Jelani were talking about. I love to watch the most gnarly fucking horror films. I want something visceral. As long as I feel like it's fake. Remember James Woods,
Society.
like when they tell him,
well, he has a saying. He says, "Better on the screen than on the street."
Yeah,
it's
and
like
when Masha
he uses to deflect criticism from himself. It's
And
like
when
a
Masha
shield.
tells him that it's real, he goes, "That can't be true." He's like, "There can't be. That's not true. As long as I believe it's fake, I'm cool with it. Even something like
Right.
the Holocaust, right? I'm cool with it, right? I'll rewatch. I don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's a turtle in 1987 or whatever? I'm just joking. The turtle's very important to us here at PCP. I'll watch the animal cruelty-free version, right? Anyway, where was I going?
Respect.
The point is this: if they can reprogram us and other people, and that's what I was saying. This movie does get that political, but what's the other side of it? We haven't even really mentioned this yet, but it's Oblivion, his cult of the Carco raid or whatever, right? What makes electron beams that make images that affect human brains. Like, god damn it, I'm losing myself here, but like,
It's not a tumor, but it's not a tumor.
he then goes from being controlled by Videodrome to being controlled by Videodrome's enemy. So he's an assassin for
Still
both.
was, yeah.
It doesn't matter the side of the issue. The problem is the way that they can control us, the way that they can program us through our media. But the bonus, the positive is this: if they can do it, so can we. And sometimes we don't need to have an open mind. Sometimes we need to have a closed mind. Sometimes the only way that Odysseus and his crew can get through those sirens is to put up those blinders. And that's a real thing. But it's not a blinder in this like sense of censorship. Because at times, this movie at the beginning feels like it's going against the idea of like people that are into torture and violence. That's a problem, right? But the problem is the people that think that that's a problem, so they're going to use that to control the other people, right? The problem is we're all pushing sensation. That's part of the human experience. Maybe we need to embrace that more than we need to deny it. I don't know. I've been rambling, but to me,
that's sad.
The effect of technology on bioevolution, it's real. It happens. Our brains are being rewired. This is a scientific shit. Look up the studies. Our brains are rewired by media. Like it's true. It's real. And if media can rewire it, we can fucking rewire it. So take control, goddammit. Take control. Anyway, time to rate the film. I knew that was going to be hard to coalesce, but I hope I came through.
No, that was good. Yeah.
Long live the new flesh, motherfucker. And that's the whole point. He becomes something new. And I love the ambiguity at the end. They wanted to film this original ending. He had this idea that Oblivion's daughter and Nikki and James Woods' character, Max, were going to be growing new sexual organs. And after he kills himself, they were going to be involved in this like video orgy. And then they decided not to do that. He thought that would be silly, and it probably would. But he did have an ending where now he wanted to show what it was after that, right? Because
the bullet.
Like, what happens after the bullet?
Right.
And Cronenberg says, to me, it's not about life after death. Like, what it almost gets alluded to because he's an existentialist. So to him, it's about the becoming a new form, a new entity, rising into this digital world or something.
You do that when you die anyway.
He wanted to encapsulate that with the scene of Nikki and Max in Videodrome on the set, like basically like doing a weird dance as the movie ended, which I think could have added a little bit more impact to this.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I also love that Cronenberg and a lot of directors, especially of Cronenberg's level, in their commentaries will really talk shit about their own work. But in this one, at the end, he goes, rewatching this movie for the first time in 20 years, I'm actually really surprised how good we did for this movie. I really like it. And it still affects me. And he says that ending still affects me, and that ending affects me. So now it's time to rate the film. You out there in the chat, out of 5, you digs, if you watch this film, what do you give it? What about you, Jelani? Kick us off.
Jesus wept.
That's a different movie about stimulation and body horror.
Yes, it is. I thought about it, and we've had a lot of discussion on it. I've only seen it once. It's a rewatchability factor. I can't rewatch this. I don't know if I can. I probably could later on after my brain is okay with this, and I'll let go. So, but the thing is, it's still this movie is very much ahead of its time. It's shot well. It's got great special effects. The music's fairly decent for me. It's still a damn trip. Because it's a damn trip, I give it a 4. I'll
Hey,
say it's a
yo,
4.
yeah.
I'm only doing that because maybe if I watch it again, I won't go insane. It's just one of those movies where I wasn't prepared for it. Plus, there are no black people in it. I got issues with that. But black people wouldn't be involved in this, so I completely understand. They'd be like, "You want to see this videotape? Hell no!
Hell no, bro.
Get
You
out!
already
Get out!
Yeah. Nope.
No. I want to show you this cool thing. No, son, we good. You can. Sometimes you just gotta say no. You can't
That's
go to
the hidden message of, if you really think about the titles of Jordan Peele's films, is like Us. Nope. Get out.
Nope.
Yeah, no.
I told you.
That's the
But
next
yeah.
one.
Definitely a 4.
I mean, I told you not to go to her house.
Told you not to go. I mean,
I told you not to watch that snuff film, bro.
it's
I told
obvious.
At
Yeah.
8mm?
8mm is garbage. Anyway, that garbage movie. They were like, "Oh, this is the most horrible thing." Going back to 8mm. When I watched that movie and they were like, "This is the best movie ever. It's disgusting in the snuff." And then you see,
I felt like Brian De Palma was inspired by Videodrome with part of that movie.
Garbage.
Maybe it was
it's
Videodrome for a new generation. I guess.
yeah.
I don't like the
I
movie
get it.
either. So
No, it's
Cigarette
Nicolas
Burns is a
Cage.
lot better. Let's put
Cigarette
it
Burns is a really good one.
It's
Snuff film
freaking
about
insane.
killing an angel. Oh my god, one of John Carpenter's best, man. Masters of Horror episode. You've never seen
Oh,
Cigarette
I'm kind
Burns?
of I'm looking that shit up.
Watch Cigarette
Watch
Burns.
Cigarette Burns, man.
Snuff film about an angel.
Mhm.
Yes,
Okay, I'm
bruh,
sorry.
and it's a little bit
Makes you
Ninth
wanna kill
Gate, a little bit Videodrome, and a little bit Angel. I guess I don't know.
Angel.
Oh,
Love
a 4
Angel.
from Jelani. That's really solid, man. Yeah,
I'm
that's awesome.
scared to say that because I gotta watch it again to be sure, and I don't want to. So
I'm shocked. I didn't think you were gonna give it a 4. Yeah, that's
I didn't hate it. This is the other thing, Robbie. Y'all thought I hated it. I don't hate it
You were like something flesh. I won't watch it again. I didn't understand because it scared the
because
fuck
it was something walking long lived goddamn flesh. What are you talking about, you crazy person? And why is your hand now a thing? And why is the thing gonna
Hand
kill
grenade.
you with cancer? Did you die? There's so many questions, man. It's just so much like, in the movie, the version I watched, it happened twice. Like he kind of killed himself the first time, and then he killed
First,
himself.
it's the TV,
again.
right? And the guts come out of it, and then he does.
Yeah.
I love that, though, man.
Yo, this is
twice.
random. Did Phantom X shoot cancer bullets out his gun in Morrison's new X-Men?
no,
What
He
did
did, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Morrison,
Cronenberg.
obviously a Cronenberg fan.
This is
Yeah,
weird.
I gotta
And
look
his
at that
fan-
again.
He's a
There's a
weirdo.
lot of Cronenberg stuff if you think about Grant's new X-Men in particular.
Absolutely.
Stuff
Yeah.
going on there. Hell yeah. So a 4 from Jelani. What about you, Steph?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go with the 4. Only because I said it warrants a rewatch, and I feel like I might pick up more, and it will definitely elevate it. So I think a solid 4 based on my first experience. For like I said, like does a lot, and it's very effective for an hour and 20 minutes. So solid 4.
Hell yeah.
I get where Jelani's coming from, but sometimes you need experiences like that to make you feel something like that. Just step outside the comfort zone.
Perhaps you're
Live
simply
on the
not
edge.
enlightened enough to understand.
I like to have my
complexities
closed
of this
mind.
film.
But yeah, solid
right.
4.
2 4s so far. What about you, Brooks?
Well, I'm glad I watched it a second time because I probably would have given it a 4. I'm gonna give it a 5. I love this movie, man. I thought it was really
Nice.
I really got into it that second time too, man. Like when I was paying attention, I thought it was great, man. I loved it. It makes you think. I love movies like that can be entertaining, and also make you think about it a little bit.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. It's a 5 you digs for me. This is a damn near perfect film. It's one of my favorite Cronenberg films. I love it. I love the message. I love the tone. I love the atmosphere. I love the nightmares it provokes in me, man. And I love how turned on I am by this movie, man. It's fucked up, right? Like,
I'm worried
You'll
about
be
you.
burning
we all
yourself
love
with
some of these
cigarettes.
movies. We all love some of these movies,
Check
right?
on you, man. Are you okay?
I'm okay, but I'm just going to say, man, I do seek stimulation through media. And I think we all do here.
Oh,
And
porn.
whether,
It'll
I
be
mean, that's a throwaway line in the movie, but it means a lot. Do you got any porno? You serious? Yeah, it gets me turned on. Like, and that leads to it even like you think that's crazy? No, it gets crazier. But like even something like watching pornography to be sexually stimulated, watching a film to be intellectually stimulated, to watch a gnarly horror film or badass action film just to have this cathartic sense of release, of like revenge and death, and to confront these things. Like, yes, 100%. This is a sensual experience to me. Movies are, and Videodrome points that out too much to us sometimes. And I think that's why it's so uncomfortable, because that connection is something we got to be mindful of. And we got to guard against the wrong stimulation. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, out there in the chat, Brandon giving it a 3 out of 5. Mark McGrath giving it a 4.5 for sure. Existence is one I've not seen, y'all. I need to watch it.
Neither have I.
Two Gun Pedro says 3.5 you digs on a first time watch. Deserves a rewatch. What, this is your first time watching Pedro? Hell yes.
Yeah, I'm shocked, Pedro.
I'm
He's
glad I
put us
got
onto
to
some
introduce
gems.
you to something, man. You need to rewatch
Right.
this. It's really good. It is a sensual experience. Stimulation.
You need to light
Whatever
some
you want to say.
candles.
He says 3 out of 5.
Lady.
But that is a PCP average of a 4.569, dudes. Yes. Great review. Great conversation. I knew we were going to get into this and unpack it, and I'm very, very excited. However, Horrorfest ain't over. Tomorrow night, it's Halloween. In some parts of the world, it's already Halloween, so happy Halloween, right?
Yes.
But tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central Time, we're ending Horrorfest 2022, and it's been a badass Horrorfest. Look at all those movies.
Man, I can't believe
it.
it.
Doesn't even have Werewolf by Night on it, right? But all those movies lead up to tomorrow night, the finale, where we're talking about the entire Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. We're talking about the original 84 classic, Freddy's Revenge, Dream Warriors, Dream Master, The Dream Child, Freddy's Dead, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. That's what it's called. Freddy versus Jason, and even New Nightmare, of course, and that shitty ass remake.
Yeah, so I gotta watch that.
It's pretty bad.
I'm sorry, bro, man. I'm sorry, but you know, that's why I did that one like in August. I was like, I didn't want to end Horrorfest on that one, so I watched Freddy versus Jason end it, and that was a good ending.
Freddy vs. Jason's a fun movie.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. So tomorrow night, the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise is going to be a baller-ass show, but Horrorfest never ends on Dylan's Horror Show. And this upcoming Saturday, we're talking about Barbarian.
Yes, sir.
Very excited. I've not seen it yet, so very excited to unpack that
It's
one
different.
with my homies. So, Jelani, thank you for being here, man. I'm glad that you were affected by this movie. Any final thoughts?
God dang it, man. Don't stop showing me stuff like this. You drive me crazy with this. Things I gotta find, and then I watch it and I'm like, oh my God. I'm glad I got to see it at least. I mean, at least I know it exists. So like I said, body horror is not my jam, but I was glad to talk to you guys about it, and it's Horrorfest, so I got to get scared about something. So this is officially the first movie that's like scared the bejesus out of me. So we're even now, I guess.
Nice.
I guess Horrorfest has worked for me because I've seen almost everything else, but man, bruh, I don't know where you came up with this one.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah,
From
that's
video
the Cronenberg
store,
game.
that's what it was. What about
I'm
you?
talking about me
Steph?
watching it.
Any final thoughts, bro?
I'm glad. Thank you for introducing me to this. I like things that make me think and have, it's like, damn, this was ahead of its time. Like there's a lot of stuff to unpack in this. So I can always appreciate that. So this Horrorfest has been a blast. Thanks for having me on so many shows the past week. Westeros Wonders.
The
Westeros Wonders.
We gotta get that shirt underway. Unfortunately, it's not going to be relevant again until 2024. Brooks, thanks for joining us, of course. And Horrorfest, Steph, thank you so much for joining us, man. We love having you.
It's been a blast.
What about you, Brooks? Final thoughts?
I think the real message of this movie is turn off your damn TV and touch grass.
True story.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Not too bad. For my final thoughts, join us tomorrow night for the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise review. We've already done Friday the 13th. We've already done Hellraiser. We've already done Halloween. Now we got to do Freddy Krueger. All Nightmare on Elm Street movies reviewed all the way through. Freddy versus Jason and that shitty remake that Brooks is about to go watch, man. You're going to love it. And then Saturday night, Dylan's Horror Show, Barbarian, a 2022 horror classic, or so they say. And let's just remember one thing. Death to Videodrome. Behold the new flesh. Hold on a second. I fucked up that quote.
Yeah,
Videodrome. Long live the new flesh.